let's get started with the Phillies' number one guy, the reigning MVP, Bryce Harper, who has just been red hot. He turned into MVP Bryce Harper the moment the postseason started. And I know we've talked about him a lot. Can you still say he's underrated?
I think the answer to that is yes. And I know that's like a bold statement. And I do think it got closer to being adequately rated after his home run the other day in the 8th inning. That's the reason the Phillies are here right now. But for so long, Bryce Harper had continued to just fly under the radar. Look, I've mentioned it before, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 17 years old, had all the hype in the world, left high school early to go play in a junior college, and then got drafted at the top of the draft. And all of that comes along with like, oh, this guy thinks he's the real deal. You know, so naturally when something like that is happening, people want to root against you almost, or it's almost impossible to prove that you were as good as you were supposed to be.
Living up to the hype.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype that I don't think people quite understand that this guy is a superstar in the game. I think we're starting to. With that home run the other night, he etched himself into Philly lore forever. He will eternally be a legend for that home run in the 8th inning the other night, which is one of the biggest moments in Philadelphia sports history.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about 2 MVPs. The guy plays a good outfield. He has a rocket for an arm. He has great at-bats. I know this year he's just DHing because, by the way, he's playing with – I mean, he needs Tommy John. He needs surgery on his arm. That's why he's DHing. So just an unbelievable season and continues, in my opinion, to be underrated specifically because the hype was so high. But look, he's lived up to every single bit of it, and now he's ended the Phillies' playoff drought, which if it wasn't for the Mariners' playoff drought, the Phillies had the next highest, and it's the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, you need to win in Philadelphia, and they're there now, and they are here because of Bryce Harper and how good he's been since he became a Philly.
And let me just share some stats on how good he's been this postseason. He's leading Major League Baseball this postseason in hits and doubles and tied for first in batting average, batting .419, and also tied in home runs with 5 home runs.
He also has a 10-game hitting streak.
Yeah.
If he gets a hit tomorrow, it'll be the longest postseason hitting streak in Phillies history. Pretty impressive.
That's incredibly impressive. So how important is Bryce Harper needing to continue to stay on this pace for the Phillies to win?
I think he's different than everybody else in that lineup, and I think he's the most important piece. Everybody else in that lineup has the potential to have good at-bats, drive the ball out of the yard. Kyle Schwarber can start the game with a home run. Rhys Hoskins can hit for power, drive balls out of the yard whenever. But Bryce Harper is that guy that, sure, he can hit home runs. We see it all the time. But he's also going to put together great bats. He's going to get deep in a count. He can hit for a high average. You just mentioned those numbers. He's a different type of hitter than everybody else in that lineup because he's one of the best hitters in the game of baseball. There's a reason he is considered that and has won 2 MVPs. So I think of everybody, and we can talk about other guys that are important to the lineup and that are going to need to have an impact. Mm-hmm. But Bryce Harper is that staple piece in the middle of that lineup. And for me, he's the guy. I mean, .419 in the playoffs. Look at that.
He's also, I feel like, the heart and soul of this team. He's the one that gets the team going in the dugout and in the clubhouse. He's the ones that get the fans going. We've talked about it before. The moment he steps to the plate, everyone's chanting MVP. Yep. So I'm saying he's living up to the hype. Everyone's remembering. Everybody is remembering this postseason how great Bryce Harper is.
I think this postseason has done a lot to get him to where he's needed to be. Not where he's needed, just in the eyes of everyone else. They're like, oh, man.
Oh, I forgot.
Really? Is that really good in the playoffs? And great. He's won 2 MVPs. Man, he really is like one of the best players in the game of baseball.
Yep.
And there's no doubt about that. Bryce Harper is unbelievably great, and he is a legend in Philly forever now.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.